Since none of my videos are sponsored, well, at least not yet, I have a lot of products that I've gone out and purchased and I just haven't got around to making videos on them yet. And this is one of them. This is the PS5 Ragnarok bundle. Fun fact, Ragnarok is from Norse mythology, not horse, Norse with an N. And in Old Norse, Ragnarok translates into Doom of the Gods. It's a series of catastrophic events that culminates into the end of the world, and of course, along with it, the end of the gods. Also, Ragnarok is not pronounced that way. It's pronounced Ragnarok. You gotta roll those R's. I'm gonna unbox it, set it up, and check it out right after I roll this intro. Ragnarok. Ragnarok? Okay, you have God of War Ragnarok, as I said before. It supports 8K, 4K 120, and HDR, high dynamic range. This also supports VRR, variable refresh rate. In the bottom right corner, it says here CFI 1215A. That is actually the model number to this particular PS5. If we flip it over on its side here, there's nothing really, oh man, it's already a little loose. That's how long I've had this, that the box is somewhat damaged and it's even already partially open. Here you'll see that you have the console, and note that this is not the Slim. And then you have the controller, and then you have the representation of the voucher that's inside the box. Here we have the contents listing. So in English or in French, it says you have the PlayStation console, wireless controller, the base, which is this black plastic that it sits on. And then you have an HDMI cable, an AC power cord, USB cable, printed materials. It includes Astro's Playroom pre-installed and God of War Ragnarok voucher. Over here, you just have that it's PlayStation Studios in conjunction with Santa Monica Studios, so on and so forth. It's telling you here that the Ragnarok game is one player. It takes 91 gigabytes minimum to play it, to install onto the hard drive. And then the vibration function and trigger effects are supported with this game. Over here, you have 825 gigabytes. Everyone's a little upset that it wasn't 1 terabyte, but it's pretty close. And just another thing to know, you can upgrade the PS5 up to 8 terabytes using the M.2 NVMe slot that's underneath one of these faceplates. When you lift one of these up, there's a place to put the drive in there. Here it says play like never before, lightning speed, harness the power, blah, blah, blah. Breathtaking immersion, stunning games, nothing big there. At the bottom, if you have a history of epilepsy or seizures, consult a doctor before use. Certain patterns may trigger seizures, blah, 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 from the flashing lights and all that kind of thing. So be careful with that. Now here I noticed there's some water damage here. I don't know what that's all about. You've got your barcode. Again, you've got your model number, 1215A. And then you got all these different things like HDMI, DTS, high definition, that's Dolby Theater sound, Dolby Audio. I'm not even sure what that is, nor what that one is. So if you guys know what that is, you can leave it in the comments below and tell me what it is. I don't know what these two symbols mean. That's just me being honest. Here it says for PS4 console users, you can transfer data to your PS5 console in the following ways. And this tells you how you can do it. Now, if you notice, there's a cutout here. And I was wondering what this is all about. So I called Sony and they said that if this is missing, that means this was shipped directly from Sony. And they cut out the code. So if you claim that it was lost in transit or whatever, they'll have the serial number so that they can ban this console from being on the PlayStation Network. So in theory, the way I purchased this, and I just now realized this, is I could set this up and it could already be a banned console where someone turned in the serial number and got a replacement. So we're gonna see in a few minutes if that's the case. Now on to the unboxing, or partial unboxing, because look, it's already letting itself out of the box. Theoretically, this would have been closed and I would have had to cut this tape, but you know, I didn't get to do that. There's a box inside a box. I'm gonna slide this out. And, you know, just for clarity, there's nothing left inside the box. Here you have a simple pull tab. I'm gonna pull up on this. And then this is gonna open up. Now it's suggesting that you do just what we did. Put it right side up, remove the first carton, and then slide it out. So that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna go ahead and remove this top box first. Get a hold of it. We're gonna set this to the side for now. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab the console. You can grab it like this, and then just slide it out. And as I said, see down there in the bottom of the box, this will be your Ragnarok voucher. Nothing else in the box. And we're gonna go ahead and support it from the bottom so it doesn't just plunk onto the table. On the other side. This is wrapped very nicely. So I'm gonna just turn it upwards, vertically. Set this to the side, just long enough to go over what's in this box. First thing we're gonna see is the PlayStation 5 safety guide. Now I never read these things. They come in different languages and all that, but I do check the contents every now and then to see if there's anything different. So this is how to remove the covers. That's how to install the drive. And then you have all the other stuff that no one really cares about. This is the quick start guide. And this shows basically how to attach the base, connecting the HDMI cable and AC cord and so on and so forth. Won't be needing that. Here is the AC power cord. Nothing fancy here. 2 prongs, double barrel plug, whatever they call that. This is actually the star of the show, if you ask me, because the controller has haptic feedback. It has, on the bottom, it has a textured feel to it. Plastically solid. For me personally, I've always not liked the fact that the thumbsticks are down here. I kind of, one of the few that do prefer that they're kind of countered offset, so to speak. I don't know, I prefer it that way, but maybe I can get used to it. I do have another PlayStation I've played for years, but that's always been my gripe. My only gripe with the controller. And it seems a little small to me. I have kind of big hands. USB-C charging, that's nice instead of micro like it used to be. And then in this little side box here, we have a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and that's strictly for the controller. That's all there is on that end. Over here, we have the base that I will be using. It came with it, and I'm gonna go ahead and install it. Here, you have your HDMI cable. This isn't a regular, just HDMI cable. You may be tempted to throw this in a drawer with a bunch of other cables or whatnot, or a bin or something like that, but this is an HDMI 2.1 cable. If you want that 4K 120 or even 8K, you're gonna need a cable like this. The other cables work, they just don't work as well. That brings us to the console. Now, I've seen people complain about this shiny, glossy black top here, but I like it. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Here you have your PlayStation logo. It's been laser cut out, very nice. The top, there's nothing to talk about. The bottom just says Sony PlayStation 5, the model number, and so on and so forth. This is actually going to be your venting, as you can see here. And that's probably why I want to use the base to create some distance between this and the bottom of a cabinet or wherever. You don't want to put this on carpet, that's for sure. Now, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to keep my PS5 in this orientation vertically. If you flip it over, you'll notice there's the screw that I couldn't find earlier. It has its own holding place. So if you get your finger in there and pop this up and then pull it out, it's kind of stiff. Get it out, and there you go. Set that to the side. Now what you want to do is you want to take your PS5 and flip it till it's upside down. What you're going to see, hopefully on camera here, is there's a small disc. There's a circle right here. It's pretty flush. There's no indentations. There's nothing there to help you get it out or something like that. So you just have to grab something that's thin. Closest thing I have is this knife that I use all the time, and I'm just gonna very carefully get under it and pop it up. And there it is. And the interesting thing about this is, once you take, getting focus here, once you take this off, there's a holding place for it right here where you can go ahead and snap this into place, and that'll hold it for you. The next thing you want to do is you're going to want to, this doesn't really hook onto anything in the back. It just kind of is a placeholder for it. The screw does all the work. So you line this up by just basically, you know, putting this there so that it just sits on there. It doesn't hook onto anything, but it's just a holding place. When this lays flat, it should line up with the hole inside there. As you can see here, you might have to like wiggle it around a little bit, but it'll grab. Your base is in place, flip it back around. Now you have your PS5 vertically on the base. And if you want to do a turnaround, there you go. That's all there is to it. Now, what if you want your PS5 in a horizontal position, meaning laying flat? Well, you're gonna go ahead and have to put this upside down, remove this screw. Once that's off, you're gonna need to put your PS5 on its side. And you wanna find the side that has the symbols in it. And I don't know if I can grab that on film, on camera, but there's X and O's right there. You can kind of see it. There's a series of them going all the way across, all the different symbols that are on the controller. Well, on each end, there's a square. And that coincides with where these should be placed. And all you do is line it up. These little catches, these little grooves in here, these small grooves, they grab onto the plastic housing. That's all they do. So you line it up with the squares and then just press down kind of firm. You won't hear a click or anything like that, but you can tell it's in. And then when you set it on its side, there you go. Before I go any further, I like to go over the buttons and the features of the DualSense controller. You have your directional or D-pad buttons, your action buttons, square, triangle, X, and O, and your thumbsticks. On the back, you find your bumpers L1 and R1. Right below that, you have your adapter triggers L2 and R2. Adaptive in the sense that the trigger resistance changes depending on what's going on in the game. We also have a USB-C charging port versus the USB micro charging port. So that's a wonderful upgrade. Back to the front, there's a create button for sharing gameplay. There's a touchpad and an options button. Running along the edge of the touchpad, you have the light bar, which is really a status indicator depending on the color. For example, blue means your controller is connected and you're charged. An orange light means you need to charge your controller. If you previously owned a PS4, the light bar was on the back of the controller. Just like on this one, this would be your light bar. Beneath the touchpad, along here, you have the player indicator. The more players connected to the console, the more LED lights there are, up to a total of 4. Pretty simple. This is your speaker. I'm pretty sure most people use their TV speakers, a sound system, or headphones, but it's still nice to have. Here we have the PlayStation button. Press once to go to the control center, press and hold to go to the home screen. Next is the mute button. It's the microphone, the 3.5mm headphone jack, finally the contact pins for charging the controller with a dock. Okay, so I've turned my monitor around and the PlayStation 5 around so that you can see the ports along the back as well as the connections on the back of the television or the monitor. First thing you want to do is you want to grab your cable that came, your HDMI cable that came in the box, and you want to go ahead and plug this into the HDMI port on the back of your PS5, and then you want to plug the other end into an available HDMI port on the back of your monitor. Next thing you want to do is you want to grab the power supply cable that came with the console. I've already plugged it into a wall outlet. I'm just going to go ahead and plug it into the bottom of the PS5, just like that. Now, a lot of people use Wi-Fi for their console. I'm not a fan of Wi-Fi in general. So I have my Ethernet cable here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and plug that into the Ethernet port with that satisfying click just like that. And your console is ready to go. All you have to do is turn it around and press power. Now let's press the power button and turn on the PS5 for the first time. First thing I notice is there's a blue glow. Obviously, it wants us to plug in the controller.
To the console with the USB cable and press the PS button.
Okay, so let's do that now. Okay, now I see a blue glow around the perimeter, and there's your light indicating one controller is connected. So I'm going to go ahead and select English.
Continue with the screen reader turned on.
Now I don't need the screen reader, so I'm going to turn this off.
No, turn off.
All right, the next step is to adjust the display area. The circles should fill the screen without showing black borders. If the circles are cut off or you see black borders, press the up and down buttons to adjust the display area. If you have a game disc, insert it now and we'll install it while you continue with setup. I just so happen to have the Spider-Man Ultimate Edition here. So we're gonna go ahead and use this disc for our demonstration. Now I'm not sure which way this goes. I'm gonna assume that the disc label goes to the outside. I can hear the disc drive spinning, but it's pretty quiet. Power options for rest mode. Control the amount of power consumed and the features your PS5 can use while in rest mode. So how about we go to custom and just see what our options are. Supply power to USB ports 3 hours. I'll leave that for always. Stay connected to the internet. That's always. Enable turning on PS5 from network. I guess I could leave that on. Downloads and software updates. Automatically download update files while your PS5 is turned on or in rest mode. Install system software updates. Leave that on. Download game and app updates. Install game and app updates. I'm going to leave all that the way it is. Of course, you have to go through this. No one reads these things, so just agree and confirm. Update system software. Update the system software to use network features and get the most out of your PS5. So you want to do this. You want to get this out of the way because you may be missing out on features otherwise. The PS5 system software will be updated. Your PS5 will start and start the update. So as you can see here, it's 1.2 gigabytes basically. Now I've got this connected to my Ethernet cable because I don't like dealing with Wi-Fi because it's just slower. To get started while you're waiting, access this website on your smartphone by scanning the code or entering the URL below. That's to create an account if you don't have one and to get the PlayStation app if you don't have that. Okay, restarting your PS5. So it's going to go ahead and reboot the system. After the installation is complete, your PS5 will automatically restart. It's installing the update file. Again, don't turn off your PS5. Don't do anything to it. Just leave it alone and let it do what it has to do. Press the PS5 button on your controller. So we're going to go ahead and do that. DualSense wireless controller device software. To use your DualSense wireless controller, you need to update its device software to the latest version. This update will be quick and your console won't need to restart. Yes, update that now. All right, we're gonna go up here and then I'm gonna edit this name really quickly. R2 for done. Okay. Data collection, help us build the best PlayStation experience. I never ever agree to this. You can if you like, but I never do it. Welcome to PlayStation 5. Here we go. Okay, this is a bit interesting. It says can't recognize the disc, make sure it's not damaged or dirty, and it's not inserted upside down. As I mentioned earlier, I believe I may have put the disc in the wrong way. Now, the second button up from power is going to be the eject button. I'm going to go ahead, make sure it stays free of any fingerprints, and I'm going to put the disc in with the label facing away from the disk drive. I can hear it spinning up. There we go. Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, queued for copy. So that's working. Now I need to sign into my network. From here, I'm gonna go to the left once, and then I'm gonna go down to you're not signed in so that I can sign in. Sign in with QR code. To sign in, scan the QR code. You can also sign in on PlayStation app by going to the cogwheel and then scan QR code. But I'm going to go ahead and do this manually because a lot of people don't have the PS app. So my email address, pop this in real quick. Please wait, update your account, complete or confirm the following information about your account to get the most out of PlayStation. Adjust privacy settings by choosing a profile, social and open. I'll just leave it that way for now. It's easy for people to see what you're doing. Your gaming history, broadcasts, games, and trophies are viewable. Fans, rivals, and strangers can ask to become friends with you, and they can invite you to play multiplayer games. They can also see whether you're online or not, and they can chat with you. Players who know you personally can search for you by real name. Outside of searches, your real name will be visible only to the friends on PlayStation Network who you choose. That's fine. Secure your account. You'll stay signed into PlayStation Network on this PS5 unless you sign out from settings. The following are recommended to make your account more secure. You can change these settings at any time by going to Settings and Users and Accounts. Require a PS5 login passcode is off. I don't need that right now. Two-step verification. Do this later. Family on PlayStation. Set up a family to tailor your children's experience with parental controls, okay? Download media apps. I'll do this later. View ratings, health, privacy terms in the More Options menu. Got it. Okay, so this brings us to the PlayStation Store. The latest, you have collections, deals, subscriptions. I'm actually not a member of PlayStation Plus, but I will be in a few minutes. And browse. Okay, so I'm gonna press the PlayStation button. Welcome to the Control Center. The Control Center enhances and streamlines your gaming experience. Check out these 3 features that you can bring up at any time. Let's go. This is 1 out of 3 activity cards. Jump to your next mission. Activity cards let you jump straight into the specific missions of a game. You can also get hints when you're stuck and track your progress toward completing the activity. Controls to enhance your gameplay. From your recent games to your music, all the controls you need while gaming are in one place for quick access. Customize which ones appear by pressing the Options button. GameBase is a dedicated hangout space for you and other players. Voice chat, plan and start your next match, or even share your screen with other members. Your friends can chat and watch from mobile with PlayStation app. You're all set. So you have Home, Switcher, Notifications, GameBase, Music, Downloads and Uploads, Sound, Mic, Accessories. It shows that the controller is charging at the moment. And then there's My Profile, and then there's your way to turn off the console. The power button doesn't only shut down the console, you can also select to enter into rest mode, which will allow it to be into like a sleep state so that you can still charge your controllers, download your updates, suspend your games, so on and so forth. And then of course you have turn off the PS5 completely. And if you need to, you can restart the PS5, which will close all the games and apps and restart your PlayStation 5. You're probably wondering, what if I don't like the order that these icons are in? Or maybe I don't listen to music and I don't want it there at all. Well, you're in luck because the Control Center is customizable. You can move, hide, or add controls to your liking. Simply press the Options button on the PS5 controller, which is the small upper right button with 3 lines above it. Highlight the music we just mentioned and press X. Arrows will appear to show you where you can move it, left or right, or if you want, you can even hide it. Press X again to finalize placement. Keep in mind, some icons cannot be hidden, like Home, for example. You can move it left or right, but the moment you try to hide it, it lets you know core controls can't be hidden. You will know which icons cannot be hidden because the arrow pointing down will not appear. Now, after you've moved them around and placed them in different areas, even hidden a few, and you're pretty happy with it, but then you decide that you want to go back to the way it was, well, just go down to Reset to Default and press X. This brings us to the home screen. The home screen has 2 modes, Games, and to the right of that is Media. To the right of that, there's an area where you can search, go through your settings, or edit your profile. You can press the triangle button on your controller and it will take you directly to settings and profile, so you don't have to use multiple button presses to get there. you could just simply press the triangle and automatically puts you up at search, and then you can go over to settings or profile as you need. On the Games tab, you have PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Store, Explore, the Share Factory. It's like a studio where you can go in there and personalize and share your greatest gaming moments. Then you have Remote Play. Use this PS5 to connect to and control another PS5 or PS4. Media Gallery for all your screenshots and video clips. You have the Astro Playroom, which comes included on all PS5 consoles. You have the Marvel Spider-Man Morales game that we just installed a little while ago. And then you have your game library. Search for games in your library. That's kind of obvious. And then this one is to sort them in some kind of order. And then you have your media gallery and remote play in here as well. Your collection, these are all the games that are on my PlayStation account. And then PlayStation Plus once again, backing out of this. Next, let's check out media. Select media and you can discover, and you have an app library. There's nothing here yet. Visit all apps to get started. I guess we could check that out for a second. And then here's all the different apps you can install: Disney, Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, Apple TV, Twitch, ESPN, NBA, all these different ones. Okay, so I've installed Spider-Man Morales using a disc. But what about the God of War Ragnarok game that came in the box? When you flip it over, at the very top, it's gonna say scratch here for the PIN number. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Once you've scratched off that silver stuff that gets underneath everyone's nails like a lottery ticket, you want to go up here to PlayStation Store, not the Plus. You want to go one over and go to PlayStation Store. Select that, then you want to go up to highlight where it says latest, and then scroll over to the right using your D-pad to get to more. Once you get to more, redeem the code. Go ahead and type in your 12-digit code. Go ahead and hit done and redeem. And then we're going to go ahead and download the PS5 version. Add it to downloads. You redeemed your code for 2 items. Additional versions for the PS4 or the PS5. So I'm going to go ahead and back out of here. Now, as you saw, I went ahead and redeemed the code on the console through my controller. But if you don't want to go through all that, you can also get the PlayStation app on your phone, go down to play, hit the 3 lines at the top, which is basically options. And then right there, you have the same thing, redeem code. And there you go. Pop in your 12-character voucher code, and it will also redeem it and unlock it for you through the app on the phone. Pretty cool. So let's just say you are going to play Astro Playroom. You probably don't need your mic on for that. So if you press the mute button once, you'll see on the screen that the microphone has a slash through it indicating that the microphone has been turned off. But you can also see here that there's an orange light that's on right about here. Let me see if I can get the lights off so you can see that a little clearer. Okay, right there you can see that the orange light is solid, meaning that the mic is muted. If you press it again, the mic is back on and the orange light goes off. Now, if you long press the mute button, it will not only silence the microphone, but it will also silence all audio coming from the PlayStation at all. And that'll be indicated on the screen as well as this orange blinking light here. To get this blinking light off and to get it back to normal, you just tap the mute button and then everything's back to normal. You have your mic on and you have your audio back. Now, this button actually has one other way it works. And let's just say you've already muted your sound and then you decide to long press to turn off all audio. Now, if you have the mic muted and then you decide to mute all sound, the button functions a little differently. Long pressing will still mute the mic and all sound, and the light will blink just like that. However, pressing or long pressing the mute button will only restore the sound, which is indicated by a solid light. You have to press the mute button an additional time to unmute the mic and turn off the light completely. As you can see here across the top that I've installed quite a few games. I've got the God of War Ragnarok, I've got the Miles Morales, the original God of War, Jeopardy, so on and so forth. But since this bundle is about the God of War Ragnarok, might as well play some of that. So I kind of messed around with it, but I'll go ahead and start a new game so you can see pretty much viewing experience of the game when it first starts. Give me story, grace, balance, no mercy, or give me God of War. I'm gonna stick to balance because I'm not the best.
What's next?
Oh. Storm is getting worse.
I'll get them ready.
Now, I'm gonna go ahead and speed through a lot of this opening scene here to get to the gameplay.
You there?
Yes.
Is it hurt?
It's hard. Get ready. Fight through.
Now, if you press the 3 dots to the upper right of your controller, you'll get your options. And in here, you can restart the checkpoint. You can save, manually save the game data if you want. You can load other game data that you have in here stored. I played around with it a bit. If you press X to go in there, you can select all. It's defaulted to all, but if you want to go to manual, you just L1 over to manual. These are the manual saves, all your saves, your auto saves. And then if you had any PS4 system saves that you've transferred over to the PS5, well, they would appear there. Then you go down, you have your settings for your gameplay, graphics, camera, audio and subtitles, text and color, controllers remapping, which means you can change the buttons to do different functions. You can swap them around. You have view controls, accessibility, and audio cue glossary. You have the credits to give everybody credit for making this game. And then of course, like right now, I'm gonna quit the game for now. Are you sure any unsaved data will be lost? I'm pretty sure. Pretty cool game, but I thought I'd give you a quick glimpse of what God of War Ragnarok looked like when you got it with the bundle. There's the main menu of Ragnarok, and you have the recap that tells you pretty much the storyline that got you up to this point. You have continue, load game, new game, and Valhalla, which is a very fan favorite option, which gives you more storylines, gives you more bosses and all that. You might want to check that out. It's pretty cool. It's like a DLC, or it is a DLC for the game. You have settings and accessibility presets. Thought I'd go over these real quickly just to be thorough. A lot of people were up in arms and complained about the storage when the PS5 came out. So I've installed the Spider-Man, the Astro Playroom came pre-installed, and then we have God of War. So let's go up and over to settings and check on that storage. Let's see how well we're doing. So as you can see here, 825 gigabyte hard drive will be reduced to 667.2 available the moment you turn on your console. Now with those 3 games installed, along with the operating system and a few other things, I still have 516.6 gigabytes. And then it breaks down, you know, games, apps, media gallery, save data, and so on and so forth. So if you're a really serious gamer or you play a lot of games, you could eat into this pretty quickly, especially if you play Call of Duty, which we all know is a huge game. Now, if you're like me and you're a big Call of Duty fan, I believe currently Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 takes up about 240 gigs. But even if you install that game, you're still left with 270 gigs left over. So that's why I don't really have a problem with the storage, and I just wanted to show you that. Now, for whatever reason, if you feel you need more storage than that, you can expand it up to 8 terabytes. And let me show you how you do that. First thing you want to do is hit that PlayStation button, scroll over to Power Options, and then turn off your PS5. Once the console is off and you've removed any cables attached, find something to lay the console onto so you don't scratch it up. The protective packaging that came in the PS5 box works perfect for this. If you install the base, remove it. Place the console on its side in a horizontal position with the disk drive facing you. On the corner, diagonally from the disk drive, you want to lift up slightly while sliding the cover towards the bottom of the console. I like to have my hand on the bottom edge so I don't go ripping the cover off and potentially damaging it. Locate the expansion slot cover and remove this screw using a #1 Phillips screwdriver. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole process here, but what you're going to need is one of these drives. It's an NVMe M.2 drive, and if you notice, this one's made by Western Digital, and it says PlayStation on there, and you're probably wondering why is that there? That's because this is an official licensed product from Sony, which indicates that if you purchase this drive and install it in your PS5, it's been tested by Sony to not have any compatibility issues, and it will install perfectly fine. Now, you don't have to go out and buy a drive like this. I think I got this on Amazon for $124. And you probably also notice that it says PlayStation Plus. That's because it comes with a 14-day trial inside the box. But if you don't want to spend that money, or maybe you don't even have that money on hand like that, you can use any NVMe M.2 drive. Just know that once you install it in here, the PS5 is going to wipe it out completely after formatting it, and there will be nothing left of it. If you're going from a PS5 to another PS5, the PS5 will not format it. It'll just simply install it. So once you've got this screw out, you're gonna find a connector on this side. These pins will go in at a 45-degree angle. You drop it down, put the screw in the back, and you're done. Put the cover back on, and then you're gonna replace the PS5 cover. What I like to do is I find this slot and the corresponding pin that's gonna go in there. Because when you flip this over, this edge is gonna go over there. So line that up. You can feel it slide into place, and then you just go to the left or away from the bottom or towards the top, clicks into place. That's all there is to it. Now reinstall your base, find the screw, and then kind of line it up with the screw hole and screw it into place. Reattach all your cables and turn the PS5 back on, go to storage, and you will see that you now have an extra terabyte or whatever size drive you purchased added to your storage. Now, some people, myself included, really get into the specs of the console. The CPU, the GPU, the RAM, what kind of SSD drive does it have? What makes the PlayStation 5 tick? So I'm gonna go over all those specs as quickly as I can. The CPU, or Central Processing Unit, is a 64-bit AMD Ryzen Zen 2 with 8 cores and 16 threads, with a variable frequency maxing out at 3.5 gigahertz. RAM, or random access memory, is 16 gigabytes of GDDR6. The GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit, is an AMD Radeon RDNA 2 with ray tracing acceleration and a variable refresh rate up to 2.23 gigahertz. This PS5 comes with an 825 gigabyte SSD with 667 gigabytes available, with data read speeds of 5,500 megabits per second. The ultra high definition Blu-ray disc drive supports 4K and discs up to 100 gigabytes in size. As far as the outputs go, you have an ARC supported HDMI port that can handle 4K 120 Hz or even 8K utilizing HDMI 2.1. There are 2 super speed USB-A 10 gigabit per second ports. There is 1 high-speed USB-A port, 1 super speed USB-C 10 gigabytes per second port, and a 10 gigabit Ethernet port. Everyone talks about the size of this console. The PS5 is 15 3/8 inches tall, 10 1/4 inches deep, and 3.5 inches wide. It weighs 8 pounds 9 ounces without the stand. With the included stand in a vertical orientation, the height increases to 15 7/8 inches and the width increases to 6 inches. The depth stays the same at 10 1/4 inches. With the included stand in the horizontal orientation, the height is 4 1/2 inches with a width of 15 3/8 inches and 10 1/4 inch deep. Because the stand itself weighs 4 ounces, the total weight slightly increases to a little over 8 pounds and 13 ounces regardless of the orientation. Just to be thorough, I went ahead and measured all of the included cables that come in the box. The USB-A to USB-C cable is 58 inches long. The HDMI cable is 58 1/2 inches long, and the power cable is 60 1/4 inches long. That's pretty much it. Now, I like the shape of the PS5. It's definitely futuristic looking and certainly different from any other console that's ever been manufactured. The controller. I'm usually not a fan of PlayStation controllers. I just didn't like the size or the button placement. But this controller feels really good in my hands, and it's bigger and it has a lot of really nice features. Certainly a generational leap from the PS4 era. The size of the PS5. Everyone was talking about it. It's huge, it's too big. Where am I gonna put it? Personally, I don't have a problem with the size of it. I like it just the way it is. Just like I don't have a problem with the SSD being less than 1 terabyte. Listen, 667 gigabytes is plenty for me and for a whole lot of gamers. But if you're a real serious gamer and you play a lot of different games, then you can always upgrade your PS5 up to 8 terabytes of storage. Yes, that's an added cost to the console, to your system, to your setup. But you're going to go out and buy a headset. You're going to hook this up to a TV, a 4K TV that can run 120 hertz. You're going to go get yourself a sound bar. You're going to go buy all kinds of things for it anyway. So what's the big deal about having to spend a couple of bucks to get a 1 through 8 terabyte upgrade to your SSD? I don't see the big deal. Gaming, like any other hobby, almost always requires an investment of time and money. Speaking of money, it won't cost you a dime to subscribe to my channel, but it'll certainly help me out. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, rants, raves, suggestions, or anything like that, comment down below. Hit the notification bell for future content, and I'll see you in the next one.